Consider this scenario. Second row, you finally got your hand in Tenpai, and right when you're about to call Riichi, disaster strikes. Someone else calls Riichi, and now you're in a tough spot. Do you push with just Riichi and Pinfu? How are you gonna afford with no safe tiles? Pretty unlucky, right? Something that feels like happens all the time to me. But what if I told you it wasn't just luck? What if it was something that could be avoided in 90% of your hands, and it could be explained in just one concept? Something that could turn your bad hands into good ones and take back agency into your game. There's 3 qualities of every Mahjong hand: speed, value, and safety. Think of it like the 3 fundamental elements. Once you understand that, it will explain a lot of seemingly exceptions that Maka or other AI make. I will explain what you should be looking out for, which ones you should be optimizing for, and most importantly, why. I will also be going through a log of my own game and showing my thought process. Before we get into the concept, I'd like to give a little transparency. My name is Tyler, I'm Saint 1-star in Mahjong Seoul, and I mostly play online. But I also do play offline at a Mahjong club at the University of Texas at Dallas. I've had ideas for making a video like this, but I wouldn't trust another same player like myself when it comes to advice. However, this is a concept I see many of our club members not aware of, so I see a lot of value in discussing it. Let me know in the comments if this is useful and something you would like to see more of. Alright, let's actually get into it. The 3 qualities of every Mahjong hand, in order of importance: speed, value, and safety. If I had to split Mahjong as a whole into 2 concepts, that would be hand building and push-pull decisions. The 3 qualities play a massive role in both of these. It's something that determines whether your hand is good enough to push or what Yaku you should go for. Optimizing these 3 qualities is extremely important. If you play poker, good hand building is like showing up with pocket aces, the best hand in the game, 10 times more often. The great thing about Mahjong is that your hand is something in your own control. So let's get into how you can optimize these 3 qualities. Speed, the most important of the 3. If you only know 5 block theory and think your speed is good, it's most likely not. Even for myself, I still consistently lose many of my hands to better, faster players. Being able to consistently optimize for speed with complex shapes and knowing when to call every single time is something that even I haven't mastered. I just want to emphasize the skill ceiling. This doesn't just apply for speed, but also value and safety. There's always something to learn and improve on. But anyways, speed, the most important of the 3. Simply, it's how fast your hand is expected to win. As you play to get your hand in Tenpai, the speed of your hand increases. Another way of saying it is how likely your hand is actually to win. Maintaining 5 blocks, having good rates, and being close to Tenpai will all increase the speed score of your hand. Hoarding safe tiles, ending with bad rates, or folding will decrease the speed score of your hand. Now this is a key concept that I want you to know about. The reason why a fast hand is important is because no matter how big your hand is, or how well you can fold, a winning hand, even if it's just one Han, can deny other players from winning their big hands. What I was taught is that Mahjong is all about fast hands or Mangan hands. There's massive value in denying other people's Mangans, especially sumos. You still lose points when someone else sumos, so you want to take your fast hands when you can. Now, something to keep in mind with speed is that even if you have the fastest hand on the table, that doesn't mean you're guaranteed to win. Obviously, you can't win every hand, and a lucky draw can change the speed score of your hand in an instant. However, taking every optimization you can to make your hand faster should be your default. Now, how do you go about improving your speed? This is a tough question for me because I would like to just recommend books. Mahjong benefits greatly from knowing theory, and books are a great way to learn that theory. Many of them have what will you discard problems with in-depth explanations, so they aren't just like boring textbooks. A great one I'd highly recommend if you do want to go down this route is Uzaku's Tile Efficiency. Other than books, I would recommend reviewing with AI tools such as Maka and finding early game spots where it may have thought that you made an efficiency mistake. You can also watch better players play and see how they play with their thought process. The problem with these methods is that there could be many external factors that could be affecting the decision besides speed. This is why you want to learn the underlying concepts with something like books to make the correct decision, rather than having the correct decision and working backwards. Let's move on to value. Remember that Mahjong is either about fast hands or Mangan hands. So if you can't get a fast hand, you want to aim for a Mangan hand. A Mangan, or 8,000 points, is usually what you want to go for, since that's when the points per hand stop scaling as much. Most hands don't start with much value. You optimize for value by going for Riichi, going for high value Yaku, or maintaining door acceptance. There isn't as much difficulty or nuance in optimizing for value compared to speed. The main difficulty comes from balancing speed and value. What trade-offs are you willing to take for one extra hand? This is why learning speed is so important. An important note is that a hand with a lot of value but no speed can still be really strong. You shouldn't be scared to have a valuable hand, even if it's slow, because the chance of winning a game-changing amount of points is just as good as a low-value hand that's more likely to win. I'll talk more about it in a later section, but just know that good value can sometimes trump speed. The last, in my opinion the least, is safety. It's basically how easily your hand can fold. This is an oddball quality because it doesn't directly win you points, however it can still save you points, so there is some expected value in keeping a hand with safe tiles. The main thing with optimizing safety is learning as many folding concepts as you can. Suji, Kabe, One Chance, etc. can extend the amount of safe tiles you have. Again, this is something that benefits greatly from theory. Beyond that, having a plan of what you might need to fold with, and maybe keeping some safe tiles can improve the safety score of your hand. Keep in mind though that safety is the least important of the three, since if someone reaches, you would much rather have a monster hand that beats theirs in EV, rather than having a hand that can fold easier. Now, time to put it together. The game of Mahjong revolves around optimizing these three qualities. Again, learning theory through books or videos can help a lot with this. However, when you're actually in game, most of the time you will be in a constant balancing act between all three of these. Generally, it's going to be mostly about balancing between speed and value. A hand too fast might miss a lot of value, and trying to go for too much value might never make it. Now, it's time to answer the question, how do you play bad hands? This is what I find a lot of newer players struggle with, because it seems random whether the correct decision was to fold early or blindly push. Maka will sometimes say to keep safe tiles, and most of the time it will say to throw away the safe tiles. Here's a mindset shift I would like to suggest. Whether you have a good hand is determined by your ability to play around your hand's strength. Adopt this mindset and you will find yourself having more agency in the game and feeling less like a spectator. Let's get into some actual examples to help illustrate what I mean. Okay, I'm just going to go to my last ranked game and explain every hand to show you that this concept literally applies to every hand of Mahjong. First thing is we're going to evaluate our three qualities. Our speed is relatively fast with one completed meld, 2 pairs, and some good blocks. We're only missing a 5th block. Our value is actually pretty bad with no door acceptance or obvious high value. We actually have a lot of safety with this hand with plenty of terminal tiles embedded in our shapes, so it's likely we'll be able to fold it safely. We're just gonna go Riichi Pinfu since there's no Yaku to call for, and it's pretty good speed and value. Something like 4 outside would boost the value score of a hand, but it's just gonna be too slow with a lot of middle tiles, and 4 outside blocks, only 4 outside blocks. Riichi Pinfu is usually gonna be 90% of a hand. I miss a half outside and a pego opportunity here. That's why Maka says 6 pin instead of 7 so. As I'm building my hand, I'm gonna constantly evaluate the 3 qualities of my hand and be thinking, what is the type of hand I want to end up by turn 9? The reason why turn 9 is because that's when the average time zone's 10 pi. Here I draw a 4th pair, so I can consider 7 pairs. I could also consider Tanya, since Tanya gives me better speed compared to my Pinfu, allowing me to open, and 7 pair gives me better value. I'm going to keep both possibilities open and throw 1s. I get a triplet, so 7 pairs isn't as likely, but Tanya is way more likely, so I cut my 9-man pair. Tanya also lets me open for speed or keep close for value. I didn't realize this at the time, but going Tanya does remove a lot of my safety, which I may or may not regret later, but regardless, Maka agrees. Dealer Riichis, and this is where the 3 qualities can help with push 4 decisions. Now, Dealer Riichi is extremely strong, with it averaging about 9,000 points worth of value. Other hand is extremely weak with no value, so it's usually an easy fold. However, the speed is actually not that bad since we're relatively close to 10 pi, and we have no safety, so we might actually want to win this hand and call either 6 pin or 2 so and try to get into 10 pi. So I decided to do a 9 so since it's Kabe with a 7 so, and also an early 8 so discard from dealer. I draw a relatively dangerous 9 pin discard, and I never saw myself throwing 4 mon, so I opted to just fold with 8 so. Manga says to just push the 9 pin, and looking back, I kinda agree since there's an early 8 pin discard, and I'm out of safe tiles anyway, so I might as well. And I avoid dealing in here. Luckily. Alright, starting out, I just throw the lonely 2 pin since there's nothing else. And here I've made a really bad error, but I'm gonna break down the thought process in where the mistake happened. The speed of this hand is horrible with a lot of bad shapes, no matter if I go pin through or 7 pairs. Value is also pretty bad since even though I have 8 so Dora, it's not guaranteed I'll be able to use it. 7 pairs on the other hand is actually really good value with Dora. The safety score is actually really good too, with a lot of terminal and honor pairs. I don't see myself struggling to fold like last hand. Anyways, I missed the 7 pairs opportunity and I just autopilot pin through, hoping to get a round around the 5 pin. That's my bad. I finally get into 10 pi and see how I told you the hand was going to be slow. I'm up against dealer Riichi, so let's use the 3 qualities. The hand is kind of slow with it being a bad rate. The hand is really good value though, with Riichi 2 door, likely making a Mangan. And the hand is safe with tons of Suji and terminals. I end up playing around my safe tiles and not reaching off the 4, so I'm likely to fold this one if I don't get a better rate, considering that it's a dealer Riichi. Immediately thinking, great hand, strong roundman shapes, and or speed, value, check. I'm just gonna play for Riichi pin through for right now. I draw another door, which boosts my value. I'll optimize my speed here with 9 mon cut, keeping Tanyao and Yaku high open. I draw another green dragon. Now I can start thinking about whether I want to keep it open or closed. Let's break down both options and see which one I should do. If I keep it closed, it's pretty fast already with good shapes. Riichi 2 Han is almost a Mangan. You can consider Riichi as 1.5 Han, since you could get Sumo, Ipatsu, Uedora, etc. Safety is pretty good too with green dragon pair, but it's unlikely I'll be folding this hand. Now if I open, I lose my pair, so speed doesn't actually go up that much. Value tanks because I lose Riichi, and I lose my safe tiles. I think it's pretty clear I keep it closed. Anyways, that's all the examples I have time for. There's some situations I wanted to cover, such as when to keep safety at a low bid cost of speed, or when to go for a high value, low speed hand like half outside. The main concept is the same though. Optimize the 3 qualities and foresee the strengths of your hand before anyone's 10 pi. And reevaluate and compare when a new draw comes or someone is 10 pi. That's about it. Let me know if you have any questions and thank you for watching.